Here's here, and I'm going to cut it there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to do the same exact thing to the other side. What does that do for my accuracy, ladies?
It's still accurate.
What's the most important thing in this industry?
Accuracy.
Accuracy. So how's that for making a half square or a half square triangle? Next, remember I told you I was going to save these two pieces over here that probably just fell and they did? Oh, my bad. All right. Now, we know that this is accurate. Why do we know that's accurate?
And cut by a
It's
laser.
cut laser machine. Now, what does that say right there? What is that number? What is that number? I know that this is 1/4 the size of that. So if this is accurate, I'm going to take it, and you already know where I'm going with this, right, ladies? I'm going to take this, and I'm going to fold this in fours. But let me show you how I can do this and why you can't, okay? I'm going to take this, and I'm going to fold it in fours, just like this, okay? And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to take it, and I'm just going to finger press it, want it nice and flat. You don't get into this, but I'm going to. Now, you have some ladies that say, as long as the square is bigger than the circle, you're fine. That's not the case, and this is the reason. You want 3 reference points. 1, 2, 3. There's one that lines up, there's 2, and there's the 3rd. Now, watch what's different about what I do and what you do. When I push down right here, watch my fabric. What is the fabric doing? It's staying with the template. Now, I want to see if you ladies can pick this up, okay? I'm going to take this right here. Watch what I'm doing different than what everybody else in the world does. Can you see what I'm doing? What am I doing?
Turning it.
I'm turning the template. Very good. You're used to walking around the table, keeping your wrists way up in there. You don't have to do that anymore because these tools don't slip and slide. But, however, it doesn't matter what I tell you. It matters what I show you, right? So let's put this down here, right on the mat right here, and let's look what we have here. Okay? We have line, 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 and line. How is that for accuracy? Ladies and gentlemen, it's not something I tell you. It's something I show you. Is there anybody else in this industry that can show you? Let me tell you what's a little bit different about us and everybody else. Everybody else in this industry loves to quilt. They might find a better mousetrap for doing what they love to do. We are an invention company. We do nothing but invent for quilters. Okay? You following? So there's my squares. There's my half square triangles, there's my circles. Now, fussy cut, I'm going to make this really quick. We also have our triangles. Now, think about all the quilts they have in the market now. They have a double wedding ring, double wedding ring, Junker's Path, kaleidoscope, mariner's compass, squares, half square triangles. So everything that you've seen to this point will allow you to do any quilt on the market. Can you imagine doing any quilt on the market being 100% accurate? Now, real quick, this is, let's pretend like we have something here. This is for our fussy cut. Now, let me show you what you ladies do, and let me show you what I do. You ladies will take a template that slips, and what you'll do, and I'd like to make fun of you here because this makes my job a little bit easier. So I'll take this and I'll throw it down. And then what you do is you come to the side and lift it up. Now, this is a bad analogy, but this is the only thing that I could come up with. Has anybody ever been to a dog track or heard what a dog track or horse track is? Have you ever sat there and watched, and all of a sudden you're saying, come on, 6, and that 6 looks like it wins by a mile, but they put another dog up there. That's because you're viewing at a different angle. That's what you're doing with this block. When you set that block down and you lift it up, you're looking at an angle. You'll never square anything up. Now, once again, what type of machine cut this out? A laser machine. Do you know what this is? This is nothing more than a giant picture frame. Notice I didn't put my no slip on there. That was not an accident. The reason why I did that is when I put this down, I can slide this into any place that I want. Now, you're going to look, and they all have measurements. What does that say right there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to physically take my picture, and I'm going to set this where it's center here and center here. That's why I have my lines. Can you see my center lines like the side of a gun? So I'm going to put that down exactly where it centers the picture. I'm going to take my 2 fingers and hold this down. And then when I'm done, I'm going to take this, which I need a larger piece of fabric, but I don't have one. So just pretend like I can lift. You won't have this problem because when you have fabric, you lift the fabric up, it pops it up. But okay. So now it locks to the fabric. So now what have I just done? I've given myself an absolute picture frame. I've squared it up. If you're doing a t-shirt quilt and you're having 8 to 10 different t-shirts on your quilt and you're looking at them and they're all off square, what does that can do for your quilt? This gives you a 100% accurate and square quilt. Now, this is probably one of my last products before I get to my main product here. Okay, strip rulers. Everybody loves them. By show of hand, who has them? Most people raise their hand. Now, most people don't use them. Let me share with you why they don't use them, and let me show you why you can use ours. Okay. Now, everybody has strip rulers, but here's the problem with them. Number one, they're acrylic. So what we've already discussed what acrylic rulers do. They slide all over the place. Number two, where their lines are, they have big gaps in there. And let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. You have the big gaps in there like that. Now, I know that's over-exaggerated, but if you put your blade in there and you try to make a cut and your blade can move, what does that do for your accuracy? Can anybody see what we have a little bit different here? Number one, my ruler never slides, okay? So when I push down, it never moves. But number two, and most importantly, I put a zero tolerance line there. If there's a zero tolerance line there and you put your blade in there and your blade can't move, what does that do for your accuracy? Now I'm just going to go down just a few, okay? Now I'm going to do a 1/2 inch quilt block. I know that's ridiculous and I know nobody would ever do them or sew them together. However, if I can do a 1/2 inch quilt block, what does that tell you you can do if these are 1/2 inch increments? Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So not only can you do your strips, you can do your blocks. Now think about this as you're doing your strips too, okay? This is what you do at home. You measure cut, move your ruler, measure cut, move your ruler, measure cut. Every time you move that ruler, is that next strip going to be the same as the last strip? What's the most important thing in this industry? Accuracy. So by having a ruler that we know is cut by a laser machine, which means it's, and your blade can't move, if we know these are exactly 1/2 inch and we're doing 1/2 inch strips, how many cuts do we get before we ever move that ruler? What does that do to our accuracy? It gives us 100% and ensures 100% accuracy. Now, when we lift our rulers up, do you remember how we did it? We pinch and we lift. Now, when we do that, what does that do to our fabric underneath? It keeps it in the same exact spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to do the same exact thing, except I'm going to do it to the other side. So watch. Now, again, this is salvage, so we won't be using that. I'm just going to go down 3 or 4 because I just want to show you how this works. So that's 1, 2, and 3. We'll just go down a couple more. Last one. Okay, now I'm going to pinch and I'm going to slowly lift this up. Now the slower I lift it up, the more it's going to stay. Now, without even looking at anything, I want to show you something. These strips are 1/2 inch. You see how they're exactly the same? Now, without even measuring that, how do you know those are all 100% accurate? The fabric never moved. If the fabric doesn't move, you can take any one of those and measure it. That's a 1/2 inch quilt block. If you can, now, the smaller the quilt block, the more precise it has to be. It's common sense, right? Can you imagine yourself using a ruler, measure cut, measure cut, measure cut, measure cut, doing a 1/2 inch quilt block? None of them would even be remotely the same. You would be up to a 1/2 inch off on a 1/2 inch quilt block. This shows you that this is 100% accurate. Now, as far as the mat, I'm just going to touch on the mat real quick. 100% self-healing. I have those all over my mat. This was actually designed for quilting. It's got 2 sides to it, so it's easy on the eyes when you're contrasting colors. Now, I'm going to wrap this up real quick, and I'm going to tell you how you can get the best deal. Now, when I'm done with this and I give you a deal, I'm going to start with the more expensive, and I'm going to work my way down. The reason why I do that, because the more you buy, the more beneficial it is to you. You get a better price, just like every other company in America, okay? Now, this table's made out of 3/4 inch HDPE, high-density polyethylene. That means it's plastic. What does that tell you by having a plastic table?
Lightweight.
Lightweight, indestructible, easy to move. So a lot of tables, when you buy them particle board with laminate. If anybody ever bought particle board, it doesn't last, okay? So when you bring this and put it in your room, it's not like particle board. You take it, you put it together, and pray that it never moves and moisture never gets to it, okay? Now, this table's 31 inches wide. Does anybody know what a standard interior door is usually by code per state? Does anybody know what that is?
32.
32. So if you have a 31-inch wide table and you have a 32-inch door, what does that tell you? Do me a favor, sir. Put your hand right there, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to move that table back and forth. Is that heavy or light? Light. So that tells you can bring this. This is not a cutting table. This is a workstation. Now, on the mat, you can iron on this mat. People are like, whoa. You can iron on this mat. This mat is truly self-healing. Notice I didn't set the mat to the table. I gave you a flat surface area. That way you can do anything. You can use hot glue on this. It's not going to hurt it. Now, this table has 14 inches of lift. What's the relevancy of 14 inches of lift? Does anybody here do embroidery? I put a built-in hooping station right here. You can put your embroidery machine right here. You can bring it all the way up. Now you have a built-in. I have several of these at my house. I went to Walmart. I put a 6-way on here. Now I have a portable workstation with built-in electricity, okay? Now, this is just a couple of wow factors, and I'm going to go ahead and give you prices. Whenever you're cutting strips, as all quilters do, you cut from here to here. Well, from here to here is the same measurement from here to here, but it's not the same distance. For example, I can reach here, but if I want that same distance, the further I go, the more I have to bend my back. This is our wow factors. One of the things that we put on this table is independent suspension. So now when we're cutting our strips, we only have to cut half the distance. What does that tell you? No more broken backs, no more having to reach. We can do all our quilting that's a little bit harder, we can do it much more easier. If I want a sewing table, this is one of the greatest sewing tables on the planet. I don't want to get into this with you because it's a little bit much right now. But I explain to people how they can put their sewing machine on here, turn it at an angle. You can watch me do that at a show. Do not want to confuse you, do not want to confuse you, do not want to confuse you. So now we have a table that, this is the only table in this industry that will lift up and down. It's the only table in this industry with 14 inches of lift. Now, if you were to buy leg lifts in this industry, just the leg lifts alone are going to be $1,500. That doesn't include what it's lifting up. That doesn't include the table at all. Now, let me tell you what I'm going to get. If you were to walk in my shop and you wanted this table, it's $3,500 right off the bat. Now, we know it's a little bit more expensive. However, I don't make junk. I mean, you get what you pay for. We can all agree with that, right? Now, I'm here for advertisement. I want this in your house as badly as anything in the world because me selling my product depends on the word of mouth that I get from you. If it's not in your house, am I going to get any word of mouth? So I'm giving you the absolute, one of the best deals I possibly can. So this table that's $3,500, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna cut $1,000 right off the top. So I'm gonna bring it down to $2,400. Now, all these extra products that come with it are about $2,000 if you add them up. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give them to you free. Let me show you what you're gonna get with your table. And did you notice what I've done there? Did you hear what I said? What did I say? Their table. Do you know what you do when you say that? You're giving them ownership without them even realizing.
Yep.
Well, if you get your table home, if you're taking your this, if you're taking their that, when you get it to your house. So you do that enough times and they'll automatically assume ownership. Okay, it's just a little trick that I've learned over the years. So when you get your table home, let me tell you what you're gonna get with your table. You're gonna get 48 templates. Does anybody know how much templates are by themselves? They're anywhere from $10 to $20 a template. I'm giving you 48 templates. I'm gonna give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares with your seam allowance built in. That tells you you're gonna design a whole quilt and not even have to take a single measurement. How far ahead of the game are we already? That's just the square templates. Then I'm gonna give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 circles. I'm going to give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 triangles. I'm going to give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fussy cuts for your triangles and your squares. That's 48 templates. I'm going to give you 3 rulers. Now, you didn't see this in the earlier demo. I don't take a lot of time with this. Has anybody ever seen a drafting table? Same exact concept. I have a little spot right here. Now, you can use this on any table in the industry you want because every table has a 45, but I put a spot in here so I can put this on whatever angle I want. I can lock it down. Say I'm doing 2-inch cuts. I can cut. I lift it up, I move it down 2 inches. So all my angles are built in, okay? Then you get your 1/2-inch strip rulers. Now this is good for all your strips with more accurate cuts and less movement of the ruler. And you can also do your quilt blocks. Remember, by cutting, lifting it up, turning the ruler, and putting it back down because your fabric never shifts. You get your ruler. We didn't touch on this, but this is for binding. It works on the same principle as this right here, except it has your different size strips. Your 1 1/4, your 2 1/4, your 2 1/2. This is for binding. This is for strips and for blocks, and this is for angles. Then you get your 48 templates. You get a cutting mat that will last you the rest of your life. This right here, this is made out of AstroTurf. My mat weighs more than 7 pounds. Yours weighs less than 1/2 pound. Remember, you're getting high-end products, top of products that you'll never have to replace for competitive pricing. Now, the table, obviously, we said it's made out of plastic, 14 inches of lift, extruded aluminum legs, easy to move around, push in and out. So I'll give you the table that's $3,500. I'll give it to you for $2,400. And then I'll give you an additional about $2,000 worth of product. Now, if that's not in your budget, we all know we have different budgets. If that's not in your budget, let's go to the next step. This mat right here, this is one of my biggest sellers. I'll give you the cutting mat, which is 2-sided. We already discussed the features and benefits. I'll give you the no-slip strip rule that has all your binding. I'll give you a rotary cutter and a 5-pack of blades. A 5-pack of blades is 12 to 20 years worth of blade. Think about it. If you get 3 to 5 years out of a single blade, right, and you're getting 5 of them, that pays for the whole kit by itself. Now I'm going to give you the mat, the ruler, the rotary cutter, a 5-pack of blades, and I'm going to give you a carrying case. That's $199. That pays for itself the second you buy it. It pays for the whole kit. Why? Just for longevity of the blades, okay? Now, if you really like this ruler and you want to switch this ruler out, I'll take this ruler out and I'll put this ruler in and I'll only add $40 to it. So it'll be $240, okay? Is everybody with me? Now, if you love the templates, I give you every single template you need to make any quilt on the market unless it's a custom quilt. Now, we've already discussed the different quilts that we have. If you want the whole template system, it's $220. I'll give you all 48 templates. And of course, you can work your way down from there. If you want just the squares, it's like $99. Now, I'm not 100% on the prices, but I can double check. But we're ballparkish. $99 for the squares. If you want the squares and the triangles, it's $120. So the more you buy, obviously, the better of a deal that you get. So if there's any questions for you, and if you want to go over a magazine, if you want me to hand you a magazine, we'll go over every single product to show you the value that you're getting. Now, when you buy this with a one-time purchase and you get your table home, you get everything you need to do what I first promised you. Do you remember what I first promised you? Making a queen-size quilt, being 100% accurate, and never even taking a single measurement. That's what we have here. Okay, any questions? A little bit longer when